Hi, this is Tim with Eduware. In this video, I'm going to give you a general overview of working with remotes in our Clicker School Online activities, as well as enrolling your class in an activity. After you click on an activity, you're going to be taken to a page that asks you if you'd like to use a virtual remote or a physical remote. If you have one of our remotes, or a compatible remote, you're going to need to install the Edudaemon software by clicking here. For more information on installing the Edudaemon software, please see our Installing the Edudaemon software video. But for this video, and for demonstration purposes, I'm going to use the virtual remote by clicking on Use Virtual Remote. When I do that, it's going to take me into the next page. The virtual remote is popped up into a separate window. This can be dragged around anywhere on the page. The virtual remote works just like a physical remote. You can select different virtual remotes to work with. For instance, the Eduware Large, the HIT 3200, the HIT 3100, or the HIT Bright. I'm going to stay with the Eduware Mini. The virtual remote allows you to emulate a teacher's remote, as well as 4 different student remotes by clicking on these buttons at the top of the page. Let's move forward by using the teacher's remote. Right now the page says press any key on your remote. I'm going to use the virtual remote to continue. This next prompt is going to verify which remote you're using. Since I'm using the smaller of the 2 Eduware remotes, I'm going to click on the star to indicate that I'm using the Mini. Okay, let's give an overview of what's happening with this next page. On our instruction page, you're going to see several things that are going to appear on all pages of different activities. First, you're going to see a button bar. This movable button bar is usable for any of the buttons that currently appear on the page. The button bar changes depending on what page you're on to show which buttons or actions are available. For instance, if I click the right arrow, you're going to see that several more actions appear. Let's go back. The button bar is there for teachers who would rather use an interactive whiteboard or a mouse while working with the Clicker School software. If you prefer not to use the button bar, you can still use your regular remote, or in this case, the virtual remote. Also, for teachers with an interactive whiteboard or a mouse, anytime you see a button that appears on the page that's not on the button bar, it's also clickable. For instance, this right arrow button is clickable, and it uses the same function as the right arrow on the button bar or the right arrow on your remote. Let's move back again. Let's take a look at these instructions. Navigating the pages, use the left and right buttons. For scrolling on the pages, use the up and down buttons. For the menu, star, and to enter, press the lightning bolt. These are some buttons that will pretty much always do the same function on every page. Now that you've seen how to use the remote, let's register our class. To get started, I just click the right arrow on the button bar. Now, when you're registering your class, you're going to see either a list of the names or a list of aliases, depending on which you chose when you were setting up your activity. In this case, I have a list of celebrity aliases chosen. As a teacher, use the up and down arrows to scroll. Scroll over a name that you would like to select, and then a student using their remote, I'll switch to a student remote now, presses any button to select the current alias. In this case, you can see that this student, student 1, selected Orlando Bloom. I know that because Orlando Bloom's name highlighted in green and that the 1 appeared next to his name. So, if I'm highlighted over Jennifer Aniston, student 2 can press any button to select that alias. George Clooney, student 3 can select. Russell Crowe, student 4 can select. Once all your students have selected their aliases, as a teacher, click the right arrow to move into the next steps of your activity. So, as an overview, this has been how to work with your remote, either a physical or virtual remote, as well as getting started with an activity and registering your students.